and God bless the United States of America.
Kari Lake is getting ready to run.
If Kari decides to jump into the Senate race, she will win.
I got to ask you one question before you go. You're going to announce a Senate run here coming soon?
I can see you come at this from a left agenda, which is very typical of the fake news.
I know what you guys are trying to do. You don't give a damn. You've got a narrative, and you're trying to push it.
She was allegedly an anchor or newscaster or something, which I don't know how to even wrap my mind around that.
They want to get rid of us. Anybody who is fighting for our country right now, because we're at the end of a Marxist revolution, and we don't have a lot of time left on the clock.
And the people aren't listening to you. So when you learn a little bit about our history, then I'll have a conversation, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
This populist nationalist energy, Kari Lake's the future.
It's really apparent that there are no good guys in the corporate media.
We're not going to take this anymore. They have awoken a sleeping giant of fed-up moms and dads. Arizona is not interested in the socialist garbage they're pushing on us.
Because Arizona, we deserve better.
We will save Arizona. I love you, and God bless State 48.
So what you're hearing here now is Kari Lake. And, man, this was cool stuff. She's coming out right now. This is Osiris, Middle MAGA. We're covering Kari Lake, the run for Senate. Just amazing news. Very happy to see this. Kari Lake is someone who I have followed since I saw the crack pipe clip. And that was the first clip I saw when I forgot the name of the reporter, walked up to, the reporter tried to roll up on her. I can't even find the longer version. I didn't look that hard because I've played the clip a lot. I've got other clips to play. But the reporter tried to roll up on her and the reporter wasn't ready. See, that was before a lot of people knew Kari Lake and they knew that she was going to drop. She'll drop the hammer on you at any moment.
You really need to put down the crack pipe, Hunter's crack pipe.
And that was back then, that was kind of wild back then. It's not as wild right now, but you're not hearing many people talk like that outside of Kari Lake. Showing courage where a lot of people don't. Kari Lake, this is what it looked like. This was her moment. She came up on the stage. It was a really big moment for her to announce here.
Dads, Arizona is not interested in the socialist garbage they're pushing on us.
Because Arizona, we deserve better.
We will save Arizona. I love you, and God bless State 48.
So this is her now. She's about to come out on the stage. And she came through, shook everybody's hands. They had to mute this for copyright, I believe. But now she's on the stage.
Woo! Dang! Oh my gosh.
She started her own movement, I think, which I really like that to me it's separate from Trump. She started her own movement in Arizona. And I don't think she did this challenged. Obviously, we all know she did not officially win the gubernatorial race, even though there were so many problems. To me, it was clearly rigged and stolen and a joke. But who's in the throne? Katie Hobbs. She didn't win that, but she carried on the election challenge, exposing fraud, carrying it on further than any election challenge that I've ever seen. showing it exposed a lot in Arizona. Then it helped me look and see, oh, this is the same type of thing they did in Georgia in certain aspects. But when she carried that challenge on, it carried her momentum on, her movement on as well. And she's got people she can pull. She is the next Trump replacement for MAGA. I don't see anyone being close.
Oh my gosh, you guys are a sight for sore eyes, let me tell you that. And I'll tell you, with what's happening in the world, my eyes are sore all the time. How about you? It's pretty bad out there. It's so nice to see you on a beautiful Arizona evening. And yes, for anybody from out of town, we do consider this a beautiful Arizona evening. I know it's like 100 degrees, but this is actually cool fall weather. That's why we Arizonans are so damn tough, right? I'll tell you, we're living in some dangerous times, and I know Abe talked about it a little bit. I know if you turn the news on, you see it. The world is on fire, and it seems like every day Joe Biden wakes up and pours a little more gasoline on it.
No lies. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but who else misses President Trump? I do. Oh, man, I miss the mean tweets, too. I'm starting to realize it was and the cheap gas. It was the mean tweets that was making us safe. It was making us safe. And I know that I'm not the only fed-up mom who wants Trump back. I know there's a lot of you out there. Fed-up moms. I think I see some of my fed-up Papa Bear friends out there. And I even think the grandmas and grandpas are pretty darn pissed off right now. And I know this because even the young people, my kids' age, the young people are fed up with where our country's going.
She's trying to touch on everybody.
Joe Biden has us on a fast track to total destruction.
I'm just going to play a little bit more of that touch. I have a bunch of things to go through, starting with her story. She's going to tell her own story in a clip here. Her Kari Lake versus the media makes for some very good moments. The Senate, kind of more in the Senate race, her competition, and then close. That's all I have. Cyan, thank you. $10 super chat. Cyan, a great friend of the show. Cyan, you can get some sleep. She's suffering from insomnia. So that's probably why she's up this time. Cyan says she is right, paraphrasing. If you have not suffered, done nothing for your country in this fight, then you are part of the problem. Yes, indeed. That's one of the best moments I've ever heard from her. I haven't heard many people talk about that moment. And I thought for me, some moments just hit you that a lot of people don't, maybe see or didn't make the prime time. But Cyan knows. That's one of those moments. Thank you, as always, for the super chat and the support. You can catch it on replay if you're tired. But, man, just to see Kari Lake come onto the scene officially, because after a while with rightfully chasing what happened in the gubernatorial race, if you chase it too long, then you're out of VP, Senate, whatever else you want to do. And she had to make that decision. We're coming right up on it. This is going to be a race. They're going to need to raise, I hate to say it, these Senate races, you're going to need to raise a couple $100 million. How's that for our country? To run for Senate, and that might not even include the dark money. To run for Senate, you've got to raise a couple $100, probably. How much did they do in the Georgia runoff? I think the Georgia runoff didn't they get up to did they get up to $1 billion? I think together they got up to $1 billion or something like that. It was that bananas. Let's continue on, getting the vibe from her speech where she announces her official run for Senate.
And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to put him on an Amtrak back to Delaware. Bye, Joe. Bye-bye. To be quite honest, I don't care where he goes. He wants to go to China, he can go there. If he wants to go to Ukraine, Joe, we'll put you on a flight to Iran if that's where you want to go. Just get the hell out of Washington, D.C. We're tired of you. The whole world's tired of Joe. Our border is wide open in Arizona. We know it because we're feeling it here in Arizona. There is an absolute invasion in our country with millions of people pouring in, tons of deadly drugs pouring into this country. And now we're seeing what that can mean. We're seeing the horror playing out and what's transpired in Israel over the past few days. Absolutely barbaric attacks on innocents. Hamas frankly, enabled by Biden and Obama's outrageous deals. Yes, I did say Obama, he's part of the problem. They sent money there, and now they're attacking innocent women and children in the most barbaric ways. Absolutely horrifying. And I know that we're all praying for Israel right now. We're praying for Israel. We're praying for a swift and decisive victory, and we pray that they bring an end to Hamas for once and for all.
So what this is about is she's running for Senate now. She was very on point on topic. She's a former anchor, if you don't know. We will touch on that. And now she's running for Senate. Now that's different. Now you're looking at global issues. You're looking at potentially running for president after you become a senator. So she's going to want to beef up her international presence and all that. So for that take, I mean, that take is cringe to me because it doesn't tell the full story. I agree with everything she said. Doesn't tell the full story, but it's what's palatable right now. So I don't have a problem with it. You've got to win. So everybody's aligned on that same thing. You go against it. It's easy for me to be in my basement, and usually I have crickets. The crickets are dead, I guess, at this point. It's just me in the basement, 2 box lights, and the crickets, and it's easy for me to say these things. But if you want to run for Senate, you can't say everything. I don't know if she fully believes that is the full story, is what I'm saying. But very smart. I'm not just Arizona. I'm going to take it back to Arizona. She really takes it to Arizona. But as a senator, it's bigger than that too.
I'm going to be honest. I wake up a lot in the middle of the night worried about the world because I'm a mama bear and I'm worried about my kids. But I'm really, really worried about the same thing happening here. Are you guys seeing that the same thing could happen here? Thousands of fighting-age men have poured across the southern border with...
So they're talking about the southern border. We'll get back to that. Got good comments. Hey, Ray Studios, what's good? Cyan says, though, and then we wonder why they don't represent us when they get to office. They owe too many special interest favors. So we'll see how this potentially changes Kari Lake. The gubernatorial run did not change her. I don't think she changed at all. Senate's going to be a little bit different. And I would prefer her to be governor, but what are you going to do? As senator, she can shake it up. She'd be the first MAGA to ever become a senator. There's no MAGA, right? I mean, J.D. Vance, I don't. He's great, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's MAGA like Kari Lake is MAGA. And she'll be the first one. So they're concerned about that. This is the type of person Kevin McCarthy would be raising money against. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think Blake Masters, I heard a rumor that Trump called Blake Masters and told him to stand down or asked him not to run, basically. And that was a smart decision. There's no need. Well, I'm fine if he wants to run and do it, but then I just don't see him beating her. So why you just lost. Now, why go against her now and lose when you still have good reputation, you still have a future? I would not run if I were him. But yes, I am. We'll see how that changes her. We have seen her kind of do a couple lies here that's not like her. And we talked about the Ron DeSantis clip from Patrick Bet-David's show when she said something to the effect of, I don't give Ron DeSantis full credit for what happened in Florida. I don't think she believes that. She does give him some credit, but it's politics. But that's the biggest thing that changes her. She's fine. And it's not really change. It's just going into a primary. Ray Studio says, hope we can see a Kari versus Sinema, Kristen Sinema debate. I think we would see that. So we'll talk about the competitions. I think we will see that eventually because it's different than the presidential. There's not a lot of motivation for them to run. Kari Lake will debate anybody anytime. So she will never be the problem there. It would be a matter of would Kirsten Sinema think that she could debate her? And I think she does. She thinks she has an ego. She would not back down like Katie Hobbs. Katie Hobbs is feckless, like a female Merrick Garland. Katie Hobbs is like Merrick Garland with a wig on. And she doesn't have heart. She has no shame. She's perfectly fine with not debating. She has no, you might want to get into the battlefield, like political battlefield, and be like, even if it's not the right play to do, I want to get up there and I want to argue these ideas. Katie Hobbs has none of that in her. That's not her. That's not her. She's fine being in the background, being kind of like an empty kind of casing for whatever the establishment wants to do. Kirsten Sinema, she runs her own ship. So I think you could see something there. Definitely could see a debate there. That'd be a good debate. It'd be a good debate. Kirsten Sinema is not all bad. I don't like her overall, but she's not all bad. And we'll talk about the competition as we go here. Kari Lake, let's continue on. She's talking about the fighting, nothing big, just the fighting age young men from Sudan, Syria, whatever the hell else country, maybe Hamas members, whatever, coming through the border.
No vetting. We know they have terrorists coming across the border. Who saw the video recently of heavily armed cartel members going back and forth across the Arizona border like they own the place? Guess what? They do own the place. Who said they do? The cartels own Arizona, and until we kick Joe Biden to the curb, Ruben Gallego, and Kirsten Sinema, we're not going to have a state.
Going straight at the cartels. This is a dangerous proposition. Cartels don't play. That is a serious thing. That's not a joke. Brendan Dilley had an interview with Kari Lake and asked her about the cartels and was like, hey, the cartels are no joke. And Kari Lake was like, I stay ready. She literally said, that's like a hip hop phrase, like, be ready, stay ready. No, she literally said, I stay ready.
I think it wouldn't go well for them if they took me out. And, we're living in Arizona. We carry, we're ready. But I will say this, on the campaign trail, we had a lot of threats on the campaign trail. I didn't talk much about them. The other side's always like, oh my gosh, I got a nasty message. I got a mean tweet.
Right.
And I'm being threatened. And I'm like, welcome to my world times 1,000. The letters I get, the nasty stuff I get. And I think I really do have some really dangerous people who want me gone. They're going to have to go through some layers of security to have me gone. And I also believe I have another layer of protection, God Almighty. Mm-hmm. I believe God wants me here, and I believe that I got a layer of protection there as well. But on the camp,
I just think how I feel about Kari Lake. Let me stop sipping. Let me just stop. Ray, you remember that? Ray says Katie Hobbs is a white Ketanji Brown Jackson. That is a great analogy. I agree completely. Well, actually, Ketanji Brown Jackson's way smarter, but I know what you mean. It's a great analogy. So here's my thing with J.D. Vance. Absolutely nothing against J.D. Vance. I've already said he's the best. He might be the best senator that we have right now. Even better than Rand Paul, even better than Josh Hawley. I don't even know if there's any other quality senator other than those people. But off the top of my head, Ted Cruz is good, but he's corporate. I think J.D. Vance is really good. It's more me, like how do I view him, and that could just be complete ignorance. I don't view him as MAGA. I don't know why. I don't know. I just have to kind of reconcile that with my brain. But it doesn't matter. He's doing great. That's a me thing. Not JD. I just want to be clear. It's not against JD Vance. It's a me thing. It's like MAGA's a feeling. Like you get a feeling. Like, is that person MAGA or not? Like, is Lauren Boebert MAGA? I don't hesitate. I think she is MAGA. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene? I think she's untrustworthy, but I would still even say that she is MAGA, even though I want her primaried and run up out of there. So you see certain people and you're like, oh, Matt Gaetz, you don't hesitate. Matt Gaetz is MAGA, like MAGA he's probably the next one after Kari Lake to me. That's a MAGA mantle carrier. And we'll see who Trump picks at VP. For me, I'm looking at Tucker because I wanted it to be Kari Lake. So right now I'm looking at Tucker. I'm looking at Matt Gaetz. I know Matt Gaetz wants to do governor, maybe Florida, which is better. But I think he could be tapped for. It depends on what their polling shows. They need help with suburban women, it sounds like. So we'll see.
And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to put him on an Amtrak back to Delaware. Across the Arizona border like they own the place. Guess what? They do own the place. Who said they do? The cartels own Arizona, and until we kick Joe Biden to the curb, Ruben Gallego, and Kirsten Sinema, we're not going to have a state. These guys are dead weight. They're just dead weight. Joe Biden actually came to Arizona 2 weeks ago. Nobody cares.
This is what the announcement part sounded like. And then we'll get into her story. Who is Kari Lake? She tells it very well in a little video that she released a while back, a few months ago.
I am not going to retreat. I'm going to stand on top of this hill with every single one of you. And I know you're by my side as I formally announce my candidacy for the United States Senate. I am not
There's the moment.
going.
And in retrospect, when Ron DeSantis announced his presidential candidacy on Twitter Spaces, I think it was called Twitter at that time. I thought it was a good idea. I still do, but he never tried to pair it with an in-person moment, and that was a mistake. I think it's fine for him to announce because if you announce on X Spaces, then only the people who are into X or whatever will watch it. So all the normies, it's not going to be like a double announcement, really. The normies won't really be there. So then you do an in-person event to get the energy. One of Ron DeSantis' best moments was when he won in 2022. He won his re-up. And his victory speech, friend of the show, Carlos, was at the speech, to my knowledge. And that was one of his best moments in person. And he missed that opportunity. He should have been in Florida. Well, I don't know if you could do it in Florida while you're the governor. That's probably what the problem he was having. But he would have to do it outside of Florida, wouldn't he? I'd have to look that up. The current governor, do you announce in Florida? That's probably what they were struggling with. So I got to think through that. But maybe he couldn't have. I don't know the math there. But either way, he didn't. And that kind of hurt. He never had, because he was running and we all knew he was running, and he never had an announcement, and it just bungled everything. Kari Lake did very well here. We thought early in the summer she was going to announce it. She had that big speech, and I thought she was going to announce the Senate run then. And I forgot what happened, but she talked about the election integrity. I covered that a little bit. And then now we knew she made this one pretty clear. Even the Dilly meme team, they got the Kari for Senate memes out. They got the memes out before she even did the announcement. So they kind of confirmed my thoughts that she was already, I think they had inside information. When they released the Wonder Woman video, I think they had inside information. But Rambo Rants and the Dilly team, they've got more in store for Kari Lake. And I love the vibe they're doing with Kari Lake. It's a retro vibe. It's a strong, smart woman vibe. That's where they went with the Wonder Woman. Now they're going with Princess Leia. This is the live you're in right now, but I just, gave her a couple nicknames. This is Kari Lake, Mama Bear, Mama MAGA, MAGA Queen, Patriot Phoenix, Liberty Lioness. What do you miss in the world? They've had the most fun, and they always stay balanced with their positive ones, their critical ones, funny ones, more serious ones, and that's just another one to put up on the mantle. A great job, gentlemen, as always. Or I think that one's straight up Rambo Rants. I didn't even see usually it's like them teaming up on stuff. I think Rambo did that one himself. I think it's a him. Shout out to the Dilly Meme team. There's a funny moments in that one. We'll play it a couple times, not in this live, but over the course of months. When they made Ron DeSantis a stormtrooper, that was disrespectful and petty. They just made him a random stormtrooper. He wasn't even like a main character or a bad guy. And she came in saying, like, aren't you a little short to be a governor? If you don't know, he is wearing these boots that are basically like high heels.
Hell? Signing the order to terminate your campaign.
Surprised you had the courage to take responsibility yourself. Aren't you a little short for a governor?
Hell? Oh, the meatball.
Somebody has...
You guys are too petty, man. I gotta move on. Who's Kari Lake? Born in Illinois, to my knowledge, raised in Iowa. Who is Kari Lake after all?
I think there's always that Midwestern work ethic that you've heard about. Because I grew up in a family of 9, it was honed even more because we had to work. We were poor. My family was very poor. We didn't have food in the house. I lived off of a gravel road. We didn't even have a house number. A couple times a winter, we would wake up at like 6 a.m. and we would go out and have to split wood and cut wood in order to heat our home. During that time when I lived out in the country, I remember having a really tight, close moment with God. I saw a plane flying over and it was really tiny. And I thought to myself, someday I'm gonna be on a plane doing something. And I had this God moment where it was almost like God said to me, you are going to be on a plane. You're going to go places. You're gonna do something big.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
Ronald Reagan was my hero, and he is the reason that I registered the day I turned 18 as a Republican. I look at that college degree at the University of Iowa. It wasn't an Ivy League school, but I worked hard for every single course I took and worked my way through college. Working as a janitor in a drug treatment center where people are coming straight from prison to go through drug treatment. I learned how to use the big floor waxer. I mean, I can run a janitorial crew very well. I started my career at the same station that Ronald Reagan was at. I got my first on-air job, and I was there for about 1.5 years, and I got a call from Phoenix.
And let's go to Kari Lake.
I am taking you along here in Arizona. And I just fell in love with Arizona. And the people fell in love with me too.
Kari Lake, known in Arizona as a charismatic newscaster.
He's a lion, hear him roar.
A staple on Phoenix TVs for more than 2 decades.
This was back when people did tune in. They tuned into the news at 5. It was based on trust and friendship. I felt so blessed having a 27-year career covering this beautiful state and the great people of Arizona. And I treasured my career and that job. It meant the world to me for all of those years. But like so many Arizonans, and frankly so many Americans, I woke up to a lot of reality during COVID. I realized that there was an agenda being pushed by the media.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
And I didn't want to be part of that agenda. I know this job has gone from being a job I loved to feeling like it was unethical and biased to being completely immoral. The hang up for me was walking away from a big salary. I remember sitting at my desk in my office, and I just was praying to God about it. And I took the Bible and I just opened it up. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7. You bring nothing into this world and you take nothing out of this world. And I remember getting the message loud and clear. Okay, message received, God, I got it. You want me to go. And right then and there, I decided I'm leaving my career. I don't like the direction it's going. And I wake up the next morning and my phone was practically hot to the touch. Many people said, you've given me the courage You've given me the strength to show that kind of courage. And all of those thousands, literally tens of thousands of messages, one common thread that I kept getting from the people of Arizona was, would you please consider running for office? Okay.
The next governor of Arizona.
So this was a promo for governor, and she told a little bit of her story there. Kari Lake is an inspiration to me. I do get inspiration from some of these people. I've talked about that before, from the commentators I mentioned, Ray Studios, Carlos, Saul, the whole Magables team, and then also people like Kari Lake, Elon Musk, like I said, very big inspiration. Kari Lake. Kari Lake made a transition that was similar to mine. I used to hang around with a lot of liberal arts type of people. I used to play in an orchestra, and times were different back then. Things weren't even really political. Now everything's political. I told my wife Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Cleveland Heights High represent Travis Kelce. And I told my wife that's political, and she didn't know. She's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And the next day, I think The View was talking about it, and all everybody in a political manner. And Aaron Rodgers is going at Travis Kelce now because he's out there sponsored by he's literally Travis Kelce is a spokesperson, if you don't know, for that Jabberwocky. He's a vaccine salesman right now.
The 65th Grammy Awards is sponsored by Pfizer.
And he's political, so you have her and him. It's all politics. And in that world, she made a switch. And I don't think she really changed that much, but she realized, like you saw in that clip, she was a part of the propaganda machine. You look at Morning Joe. I talk about Morning Joe a lot. That is a show I used to. When I say this, it might sound crazy, but I've always watched a lot of these political shows, even if I was blue-pilled. And I watched Joe Scarborough back when his show was called Scarborough Country. And Mika came on, and I've been watching it forever. And to see him leave the Republican Party, go independent, I'm good with that. But the reasoning for it, just madness. He became a Democrat, is what he did, and didn't want to admit it. Joe Scarborough was a very smart dude. He would always criticize Republicans, Democrats. He's a corporate dude, but still very smart. And he's turned into a complete clown. And I bring that up is because Kari Lake didn't want to be that. She told her story about how she went from kind of like that NPC, that classic NPC zombie, and she did an announcement speech and told everybody, I'm leaving Fox 10. I got bigger and better things to do than be a puppet.
And so many of you have sent me messages while I've been on leave asking me how I'm doing or when I'll be back. Many of you left kind messages telling me that you miss me. I appreciate all of the messages, and I miss you too. This time away from work has given me a chance to reflect on my work. 22 years ago, Fox 10 hired me and paired me up with John Hook to bring you the news every night. Shortly after becoming a team, we jumped in the ratings, and we've held the #1 spot for almost all of our time together. Anyone who's worked in TV news can tell you that is not an easy feat, and it's one I'm extremely proud of. And I thank you for that, for tuning in and inviting us into your homes. Sadly, journalism has changed a lot since I first stepped into a newsroom, and I'll be honest, I don't like the direction it's going. The media needs more balance in coverage and a wider range of viewpoints represented in every newsroom, at every level, and in each position. In the past few years, I haven't felt proud to be a member of the media. I'm sure there are other journalists out there who feel the same way. I found myself reading news copy that I didn't believe was fully truthful or only told part of the story. And I began to feel that I was contributing to the fear and division in this country by continuing on in this profession. It's been a serious struggle for me, and I no longer want to do this job anymore. So I've decided the time is right to do something else, and I'm leaving Fox 10. I thank Fox for their understanding as I've come to this decision, and I am grateful for the opportunities they provided for me to cover so many big stories over the years. As I close this chapter of my career, there will probably be some hit pieces written about me. Not everyone is dedicated to telling the truth, but thankfully many of you have figured that out. I promise you, if you hear it from my lips, it will be truthful. It is scary walking away from a good job and a successful career, especially in difficult times. I know God has my back and will guide me to work that aligns with my values. I feel such a deep connection to all of you wonderful Fox 10 viewers here in Arizona and those I've met and interviewed over the years. Thank you so much for your trust and friendship all these years. I will keep in touch, and I hope you will do the same.
That was her message. That actually is one of my favorite clips of hers. It's just so well laid out. She's reading a teleprompter, but they do this thing. I don't know how they do it. Maybe some of you know, where you can't tell they're reading. So if I had a teleprompter, or when I'm looking at my screen's off to my left, so you'll see me looking to my screen, and you'll obviously see my eyes moving. They don't do that. It's a talent. It's a skill that they learn, and the delivery is so good. I told my wife, and she's like, "Oh, Kari Lake's running. Okay, whatever." She's not that big into Kari Lake, and she's like, "Well, what's the deal with her?" I said, "Just for like a normie or something. Not really. She just doesn't pay attention. She's not really a normie, but so for someone who doesn't know, it's Donald Trump, but 2.0. This is somebody who will catch you in the streets." And it's Donald Trump 2016. The Donald Trump, remember the Donald Trump that wasn't afraid to debate? The Donald Trump that would catch you in the media in the streets and have words for them? That Donald Trump. Not this version of Donald Trump. And that's her. And she also really opened my eyes to what true populism looks like. Empowering populism is to give somebody a message that they need to hear, not what they want to hear. That's very important.
But unless we've got leadership, this is terrifying for people. It's terrifying for you and I to be on a public forum like this, and we're on record then. What happens if then we're canceled? Even if I work for myself or whatever, but my husband has a job, that could be canceled with the right type of pressure. It's really scary. Mm-hmm.
But here, this is so fitting. Kari Lake, I just saw this clip here from her.
All have to be willing to take the same hits that I've taken and that President Trump has taken. That means we got to be willing to put our job on the line. Who's had to do that? A few people out here. I see hands have gone up.
People were a little hesitant, weren't they? I think some people were like, "Come again? What did you say?
What did you say?"
Let me bring that back.
All have to be willing to take the same hits that I've taken and that President Trump has taken. That means we got to be willing to put our job on the line. Who's had to do that? A few people out here. I see hands have gone up.
She's really indirectly saying there is no politician that's going to save us. That's why I'm pumped to talk to you and talk to Ray Studios and Jay and whoever else, because to me, that's more powerful than even voting. You still want to vote, but more powerful than any politician is making connection. What she's saying is you got to stand up for something. Donald Trump isn't some magician that's just going to fix everything.
No, but courage is contagious. And, the way that it is caught is by somebody who's high profile, willing to stand up and show that, we can take these hits. Even if the person is struck down, just the very fact that he stood up encourages others. They've said that the church grows with the blood of the martyrs. The Christianity grew the most during, the persecution in the Roman era. Every time the church is persecuted, it grows. It's when we have these relatively good times that we fall away from the faith. And I think it's the same way with political power though as well, and being persecuted. we've been had so much peace for so long. We kind of forgot what it meant to fight for our rights and stand up for our rights, and that sometimes that some sacrifices might need to be made, just so that our children can have those rights back.
We got to be willing to put our paycheck on the line. I know how willing to
that's a hard thing.
That is a hard message she's giving.
Mm-hmm.
She literally said you're going to have to put your paycheck on the line. That's not a cult.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying you're going to have to put your paycheck on the line to save yourself. A cult is you give me your paycheck and I will save you. That's not what she's giving the opposite message.
And we got to be willing to lose a friend or two.
She's absolutely right. I went to the grocery store today and to Carl's Hardware. Carl's Hardware is a small business here in town, hardware store. And I know them, they're all conservative. So I feel very comfortable, wearing my Trump paraphernalia there. I had a pink camouflage hat, says Trump 2024 Save America. So then I go to Albertsons because I had to pick up some groceries on the way home. And honestly, I was a little concerned. There was a whole bunch of kids that school was letting out. So a bunch of high schoolers. And, they were congregating in the store, groups of 10, over at, Starbucks and, getting stuff on their way home. And honestly, I was a little concerned as to whether or not I should have my little Trump hat. But on the one hand, if you are a positive person and you are acting responsibly and you are courteous to other people and you are wearing what they think of as the enemy, well, maybe you can help change their mind. If you extend kindness and you're wearing, a pro-life shirt or you're wearing a MAGA, stuff, and you're being kind to people, regardless of whatever it is they may look like or do or whatever, then maybe you can help change what the culture is. Now, if you're wearing that kind of stuff and you're being a complete and utter jerk, then obviously that's going to have the opposite effect. It's going to make things even worse. But one of the comments below for Empress Artemis was talking about that she's a snake and that this is a trap. I would really like to know more about what she thinks about that. But I mean, it kind of goes back, I think, to the FBI, where the FBI is trying to get people to, kidnap Governor Whitmer or kidnap apparently Youngkin that was another FBI plot that they were trying to get underway. And then, they encourage people to do things they never would have done on their own, had no means to do on their own. And then they take one step towards doing that. And then, of course, they're being tried. But it really makes the FBI look bad. That goes back to the whole Mar-a-Lago thing, that Trump may have some documents on all the things that the FBI has been doing. But it's really scary when the people in power have the power to counsel you. It's even worse than your neighbors, making life miserable for you.
Her little speech there, just that we haven't even played a minute yet, is forcing us to have this conversation. What speech do you hear from like a Bernie Sanders or whoever else, even Republicans, that make you sit down and have like some real talk? That's what I want to hear from politicians. AZ Patriot says she has the money to take punches. Regular people don't. What do you think about that, Jen?
That's why we all have to get our houses in order. If you are in debt and you can't afford to lose your job for 6 months, then yeah, you're going to have to act in a certain way for the preservation of your family. But if you've got everything paid off and you've got a little victory garden going, you've got some chickens that you're, providing you food, you're a lot freer. And I'm not there yet. I wish I'd made some better decisions earlier on in life that I could be there at this point. But I'm trying to rectify it now as much as I can. That's what I encourage other people to do as well.
Just because she has the money to take the punches doesn't mean that for me at least, it discredits her.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, she could have just kept her job as the anchor or whatever on the news.
In the past few years, I haven't felt proud to be a member of the media. I found myself reading news copy that I didn't believe was fully truthful or only told part of the story. And I began to feel that I was contributing to the fear and division in this country by continuing on in this profession. It's been a serious struggle for me, and I no longer want to do this job anymore.
She didn't have to get all this hate, all these lies. They are going super hard on her. She's a special politician to me. So that doesn't discredit her for me. And then her message is an empowering message to me.
Right.
It's scary, but it would be easy for her to say, you have to get out and vote. Don't forget to vote. And she will say that. She's saying, you're going to have to pay the price. You're going to have to practice. You can't just go out on the court and think you're Michael Jordan and you've never practiced. You've never sacrificed anything. I just think it's just a wonderful message to, even if you disagree with it, it makes you think.
Yeah, I saw Empress's follow-up there that,
Okay.
that basically she was talking about, well, she's basically getting them to stick their head up and then they can be smacked down. And that is a legitimate concern. Especially if she doesn't follow through, if she wins the nomination and wins the governorship, if she doesn't follow through, then yes, that of course can be dangerous. But, we got to stand up, because what's the alternative? That we all just cower on our knees and then all our rights are taken away anyway? I mean, there's no upside to that at all.
Yeah, you're right, Empress. But here's the thing. What she's doing is bigger than her. Just like a lot of people, some people come to me and they're like, Donald Trump is this or that. He's fake. He's a globalist or whatever the case is. I don't know. Maybe he is. But he started a movement that's way bigger than him. It doesn't matter. He can't stop it. The movement that he was the mascot for, that is still currently. So what if he's a globalist? He can't stop this movement. So if he disappeared, I don't want that to happen. And
I don't think he is a globalist.
No, neither do I. But I just wanted, but I can't.
Yeah,
prove
I
it,
know what you're saying. What if he is? He's obviously the people that are following him are not going to let it go that way.
Yeah, that's my response to Empress. I can't prove that she's not a fraud. She could be. She's so polished. I mean, she's just so good. It could be too good to be true. I actually tweeted that. I was like, this is too good to be true. But right now, she's starting a movement. She's got us talking about it. Me and Jen talking about it. So if she's fake, it will be very quick and easy to find the fakes. This isn't like the populist left that bring in these fakes like Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, and they vote against people every single time. They vote for the money in Ukraine. You will see when push comes to shove, you will see who's a fake or not. Right now, I like what I hear.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a psyop. You don't rile up a populist movement as a psyop. Really
yeah,
do.
We have, way too many tools in our bag for that to be successful.
I got a call. I haven't talked to Jen in a while.
You expect there to be a vote?
I haven't talked to Jen in a minute. That's my bad. I have a great friend of the show. You see how good she is there. And that was Kari Lake. That was sparked a great conversation. Kari Lake at CPAC. And she's now running for Senate. To say that she has my full support is an understatement. And she's not just a pretty face. She's just not a very savvy, polished politician. She's also a savage politician. And that's why I said, Blake Masters, you don't really want these problems.
Hi.
Kari.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Count off and CNN.
You don't have a mask on anymore. What's going
we're
on?
outside. Do you have a minute to
well,
chat?
we're 6 feet apart.
Do you have a minute to chat?
I'll do an interview.
Okay.
As long as it airs on CNN Plus. Does that still exist? I didn't think so, because the people don't like what you guys are peddling, which is propaganda. Thank you. Hi.
Kari.
Hi.
One of the most savage moments, so politely savage, dismantling, and basically threw her. Like, she did the kind of the equivalent of throwing her off to the side professionally. This was a different crack pipe, because we know the classic crack, the first time, the crack pipe. Here's a different one where she was on, I think this was a radio show she was on.
Everyone knows what happened here, and we're getting to the bottom of it. We have to go through we have to go through the investigation here, and we have to go through the forensic audit, and we have to do it the right way, because we've got to handhold and bring people along and let them know what's going on. But there's no way Joe Biden won by 81 million votes. You have to be smoking Hunter's crack pipe to think that. And the whole world knows it. Even the people on the left know it.
I agree.
But they think through their force and their corruption that they can keep us down and make us not believe it, because we're never going to believe it,
but make us live with their lie. And we're not going to live with their lie because we're going to save America. You know, watching Joe Biden in office is such a slap in the face to every American, to our forefathers, to the founders of this country, to our grandfathers, our uncles, our fathers, our mothers, anybody who served in the military. It's a slap in the face. They died for this country. They died for our rights. They died for us to have a fair election and have a vote that counts. And they made a mess of that. They made a debacle of it, and they made a joke of it.
I think people are going to rally around President Trump. We know that our elections are corrupt here. They've been corrupt for a long time, 2020. We saw what happened when we ignored a corrupt election and allowed someone like Joe Biden to get into the White House and lead our country into destruction. And I
Ms.
believe
Lake, you can look down the camera and say that, but you know that's not true. You know that the election was not stolen.
You know, I wouldn't expect you coming from Australia to know one damn thing
from the
about our
UK.
country. Oh, you're from the UK. I was told you were from Australia.
Okay, so you'd speak to someone who is on the right of politics, but not to an independent journalist.
I expect you to understand what's happening in our country because I can see you come at this.
I like these optics here. She's looking at you like, you bitch ass nigga. I need you to hear me clearly. I love her. She got a little bit closer like, bitch, I don't think you're hearing me. I don't think you're listening to me. I think you hear me, but you're not listening to me.
We're from the UK.
Oh, you're from the UK.
Oh, you're from the UK. I don't give a damn where you're from.
I told you were from Australia.
Okay, so you'd speak to someone who is on the right of politics, but not to an independent journalist.
I expect you to understand what's happening in our country.
She moved up on I love Kari Lake. She moved up on him like, bitch, are you not listening to me?
Because I can see you come at this from a left agenda, which is very typical of the fake news. And the people...
You look at this body language. She's looking him straight in the eye like, you pay attention.
People aren't listening to you. They really aren't.
Look at the optics. She's undressing him with her, like, not in a sexual way. Like, this is like, you're in your place type of way, like a dominance type of way.
And you don't understand what it means to shed blood for your freedom like we did here when we broke ourselves free from a tyrant called King George. So when you learn a little bit about our history, then I'll have a conversation, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, she got a little bit ornery there.
I think people are going to rally around President Trump.
You see, she's on peace right now. This is just a normal interview, and this bro right here, I don't know who he is. Is that dude from Sky News or whatever? Didn't she? I don't know. She had. Maybe I'll play a little bit of this other one where they were supposed to have an interview, but it fell apart. I think it was the same dude, but you see his face if you're just listening. I don't know, man. His face the camera's right up on the left side of his face, and you can tell he's just disingenuous and disengaged. And Kari Lake's taking this seriously, man. She's not playing it. That's what I want from my politician. I want a politician who's ready to debate, ready and serious. And look at that. She's right here. Like, let's talk.
We know that our elections are corrupt here. They've been corrupt for a long time, 2020. We saw what happened when we ignored a corrupt election and allowed someone like Joe Biden to get into the White
She's looking straight in the camera.
House and lead our country into destruction. And I
Ms.
believe
Lake, you can look down the camera and say that, but you know that's not true. You know that
And she's like, don't give me that bullshit. What are you talking about? I'm tired of these people saying, well, you know that's not true. You don't know what's true or not. You see her face? She's like, do I need to? She's like, boy, do I need to take off my belt? That's like, she's acting like the father here. She's like, do I need to take off my belt real quick?
Election was not stolen.
You know, I wouldn't expect you coming from Australia to know one damn
We're
thing
from the
about our
UK.
country. Oh, you're from the UK. I was
Okay, whatever, bro.
told you were from Australia.
Okay, so you'd speak to someone who is on the right of politics, but not.
So then he says he's from the UK, and then she twisted up on him with the King George reference.
Politics, but not to an independent
I
journalist.
expect you to understand what's happening in our country because I can see you come at this from a left agenda, which is very typical of the fake news. And the people aren't listening to you. They really aren't. And you don't understand what it means to shed blood for your freedom like we did here when we broke ourselves free from a tyrant called King George.
You think Blake Masters want these problems? No, he does. No, he's good. He's good. He's gonna go figure something. He's gonna do something else.
to politics, but not to an independent
I
journalist.
expect you to understand what's happening in our country because I can see you've come at this from a left agenda, which is very typical of the fake news. And the people aren't listening to you. They really aren't. And you don't understand what it means to shed blood for your freedom like we did here when we broke ourselves free from a tyrant called King George. So when you learn a little bit about our history, then I'll have a conversation, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And that's that. Bye.
I don't live in Australia.
Here's the one where this never aired, but I guess her own team recorded it.
Are you actually a respectable journalist there, or are you kind of considered?
Actually, I think this was the follow-up from that. I think they had that beef, and then they followed up with this right here.
Joke.
So Kari Lake was running for governor there. Savage, this dude, this Australian journalist. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. So she walked out of the interview in protest here. You're going to see it in a little bit.
Example of the. I hope the people of Australia are waking up to the media. This is a perfect example of the insanity of the media. It's just crazy. You're calling people names.
It's the media. It's this sort of amorphous mass that
Are you
somehow comes up
actually?
with this narrative.
I don't live in Australia. Are you actually a respectable journalist there, or are you kind of considered a joke?
Oh, my bad. This is so it's a different dude then, because the other guy was UK.
Seriously.
Incredible.
I hope this gets put, I hope this gets put in
That's
the
the Donald Trump way, isn't it? It's fake news. All of a sudden, it's fake news.
Hey,
if you have a different narrative, it's fake news.
Liam, sir, I worked in the news for 30 years. I get how it works. It's hit rock bottom and it keeps going lower. I don't know if you have viewers who still watch, but here in America, people are tuning out the corporate media.
Really?
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Yeah.
Sorry to tell you that. Days are numbered,
Right,
buddy. If you want to keep pushing propaganda, your days are numbered. And I don't know.
We're pushing propaganda.
Oh
That's
my
rich.
gosh! If you can't see it, sir, then you're even more brainwashed than you could imagine. And I feel for the people of Australia.
This is real talk here. This isn't your typical politician in an interview. This isn't Mike Pence. This is Kari Lake, and then they're going to sit down and, well, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but they sat down for an interview, and it went south, and Kari Lake's like, well, we're just going to talk like person to person. Like this is not even on some interview tip anymore. It's just me and you talking, bro. And that's what I want from my politician.
Yeah, they're being abused by their leaders. They have no rights, and their media is continuing to try to brainwash them. You were probably one of the guys pushing the fear with COVID so that people would stay in their homes and wouldn't go out, and that the children would be masked. You were probably one of the guys.
And probably still one of the people that haven't acknowledged they were wrong. I don't need an apology. I do need an acknowledgement you were wrong, and what are we going to do to never let it happen again? But I guarantee you he hasn't done that.
He's pushing that fear on your TV station. And I'll tell you what, the masking of children and the torture of the people are never going to forgive you for that, and they're never going to forget. So I suppose you're the kind of guy that masks your children, right?
Well, I suppose you're the sort of woman who...
That hit the spot. I masked my child too. That was on some weak stuff. But yes, the Freak, Sky News is owned by Rupert Murdoch. That's worth noting. Hey, TNT Cycles PDX in the building. What's up? Aria says she has a good soul. She speaks the truth. Exactly how I feel.
Also believes the moon landing was a conspiracy. I mean, how many institutions do you want to tear down in this?
Well, don't let me... I'm not going to get started.
Oh, my goodness. So are you masking your children? Is that your way of not answering? Are you masking your children, your beautiful children's faces?
Oh, man.
See, this is what Donald Trump does, doesn't he? This is what Donald Trump does, straight out of his playbook.
Liam,
he attacks the personal.
Liam,
you attack the personal if you don't like the real truth.
Liam, it was a pleasure meeting you. This has just become comical. I'm leaving. Actually, thank you for giving me a good laugh, because you actually make some of the crazy reporters and people at CNN look almost respectable. So thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, bro. Do you remember the Brett Baer interview? This one was good. I'll have to jump around, but this one's good. The end was good.
Kari, thanks for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. I am the front runner here in Arizona and have been since day one, and I'm endorsed by President Trump, and we're doing really well. Our main person that we're looking out for right now is the socialist on the Democrat side, Katie Hobbs. That's who we're focused on.
Let me talk about what we just saw, which was this abortion decision and what it means in the states.
This is pertinent because one of the attacks already on her is on abortion.
Arizona has this trigger law that's similar to Mississippi in that it would criminalize abortions after 15 weeks. But you have a couple of different cities, Phoenix and Tucson, that they say they do not want to move forward with this. They said they're going to push back. And I'm wondering, if you're governor, what do you do about that?
Well, we're going to let the legislature pass the laws to protect the unborn. And we already have these laws on the books, and it's not surprising. We have socialist mayor running Tucson and one running Phoenix, and they're always trying to push back. We will protect the lives of the unborn in Arizona, and it's going to be very difficult for abortion clinics to survive and be open if abortion is illegal in Arizona.
Yeah. What about these abortion pills? Would you outlaw those or try to?
I think it's really scary that a young, afraid mother could be at home taking a pill and without medical supervision. It could be the end of the mother as well. So I would very much support banning those types of abortion pills.
What do you think the most important issue for your state is?
We've got a couple of important issues. We have a wide open border. We have fentanyl pouring in. We have the cartels with operational control. But that wouldn't be happening if we would have fair, honest elections. And we had a fraudulent election, a corrupt election, and we have an illegitimate president sitting in the White House. And because of that, our border is wide open. 5.5 tons of fentanyl was confiscated last year, enough to kill over 2 billion people. It's a weapon of mass destruction. And that's why we're going to secure that border starting on day one, after I take my hand off the Bible.
That's why they had to stop it. You see what she said? She's gonna, that once I become governor, it's a wrap. The federal government, basically, she's saying, without saying it, the federal government would have to sue me.
And that's why we're going to secure that border starting on day one. After I take my hand off the Bible, we are going to issue a declaration of invasion. We're going to finish President.
You think she was lying? I fully, you know, these politicians say all kinds of crazy stuff. Trump says all kinds of crazy stuff. I think she's straight up. She's straight up being serious. Does it look like she's lying? I don't think so.
We are going to issue a declaration of invasion. We're going to finish President Trump's wall, and we're going to send our armed National Guard to the border and stop people from coming across. You know, I've been down there so many times, and people just pour in, and they've got a smile on their face because with Joe Biden, they feel they're going to stay here forever. And when I'm governor, they're going back.
Just to circle back, you say that it's an illegitimate president. You say that the election was stolen. You speak a lot about this on the campaign trail,
I do.
Talking about the 2020 election. This is the Arizona House Speaker, Rusty Bowers, testifying in front of Congress last week.
Anywhere, anyone, anytime has said that I said the election was rigged, that would not be true. There was no evidence being presented of any strength. Evidence can be hearsay evidence. It's still evidence, but it's still hearsay. But strong judicial quality evidence, anything that would say to me, you have a doubt, deny your oath. I will not do that.
He's a Republican, he's a Trump supporter, and that's what he said.
He's a rhino, and he hopefully will be defeated. He is an absolute rhino. Karen Fann even admits there were issues with the election, that it can't be certified. And here's what we have. 740,000 ballots that have no chain of custody. They cannot be authenticated, and they should not.
This was all testified after this aired, all testified under oath in a trial on this YouTube channel right now. There's a playlist. I think it's just called Arizona or Maricopa County. All of it's there.
Have been counted. 34,000 ballots that were counted 2, 3, and 4 times. People who moved who still voted in our election. There's a mountain of evidence, and I wish that the corporate media would start covering it instead of putting their head in the sand and acting like it didn't happen. We know what happened here.
Okay.
Just because we have a rhino saying it didn't happen.
I understand what you're saying. The Attorney General obviously has talked about this at length, saying that they instructed U.S. attorneys to pursue any specific.
So you see, they're trying to get her on that, to keep her on that topic. She changes it off, and then they get to what the topic that kind of gets her a little heated, and that's on the drag queen stuff. So let's get right here, and then this is where it ends. Kari Lake does not play games.
Ask you one thing. Obviously, as a candidate, you come under scrutiny. The Washington Post has a story today. It says Arizona GOP candidate who criticized drag queens was once a fan, according to a drag queen. This is the quote. Arizona GOP gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake, who has attacked drag queens as dangerous to children, attended the shows of drag queen Richard Stevens for more than 20 years and once hired him to perform at her home. Do you care to address that?
I do care. I actually do care to address that, and I'm really shocked. I'm actually appalled that Fox News would take a defamatory story like that, and we are pursuing legal action against this drag queen. I'm appalled that you would bring that up when you have not talked about her.
She's not the one to play with. That's not. You better come corrected when you're coming with Kari Lake. She's on Fox News, shitting on Fox News.
Our stolen election. You failed to talk about.
When's the last time Trump did that? I mean, he has hinted at he's like on your network. He says a little. But she will go fully there.
Questions, Ms. Lake, talking about this. I just asked you a number of
action. You failed.
We just
to talk
spent
about
3
that.
questions.
No. See, he had to interrupt her because she was getting too heated. She was getting too on point.
Not talked about our stolen election. You failed.
We just that's not what he's like. You just spent 3 questions. You spent questions trying to test her. What about after this interview's over? Do you talk about it? No, of course not. Outside of Tucker didn't even really talk about it that much, I think, at this point at least.
Spent 3 questions, Ms. Lake, talking about this. I just asked you a number of questions about it. I played the Arizona House Speaker.
The first of it.
Let's address this story that's in the Washington Post. Every candidate takes tough stories. I'm asking you to respond to it if you'd like to.
I'm happy to address it, but I'm really disappointed in Fox. I thought you were a little better than CNN. This is a person who I covered for decades, 20 years, and he's never been in my home. He says he's been in my home for a drag show. That's ludicrous. He's never been in my home. He's lied. We tried to serve him defamation papers, and he's so shady that we can't even track him down because he's not even welcome at the places that he works.
I'm sorry, but this is the last question I'm going to ask. What about these pictures of you with him, Richard Stevens? And what about the Post? I've performed for Kari's birthday. I've performed in her home.
That's not true.
I've performed for her at some of the seediest bars in Phoenix. I don't want to ask these questions. I asked you to address them. That's
actually, I think you do want to ask him, but you don't want to ask about 2,000 mules. I think you do want to ask about this. This is absolutely ludicrous. I'm talking about drag shows in schools.
And Brett's in his feelings because Brett really is the type of dude who I would have chosen to do like Meet the Press, which is supposed to be an independent type Tim Russert role. And actually, I don't know who the woman is doing it. I mean, she's still in the MSNBC wing, but she's doing better than Chuck Todd, though, the new one for Meet the Press, even though she's still whatever left. But Brett Baer is somebody who I would have thought would have been better. And if you wanted to bring this up, he didn't bring this up, and then in the manner that I would have respected. And then on top of that, Kari Lake is on point saying, yeah, I think you do want to bring this up because I know when we watch your network, there's a lot of things you don't talk about. You'd love to talk about this instead of talking about some of these other things with me, especially.
This is what triggered this man. Somebody who goes to a drag show with female impersonators is one thing. We don't want our tax money going into drag shows at school.
Okay, I understand what you're making a difference there, but you're saying his allegations are...
He interrupted again. He's in his feelings. So I just like that. That's what I want. I need to see that. I really haven't seen that tension with Trump in a minute. And she articulates the kind of the ultra MAGA. They want to paint you as this, paint you as that. She can articulate on, wait a second. That doesn't make sense. I think she would resonate with suburban women. I don't know. Maybe they don't think so. Because why else wouldn't Trump pick her as VP? So I don't know what's that's about, but we'll see.
They'd have to explain what's fringe about wanting to secure the border. I don't know what's fringe about that. I don't know what's fringe about wanting to have an economy that all people can thrive in. I don't know what's fringe about wanting to bring gas prices down and have the energy independent. I'm not sure what's fringe about wanting to deal with the homeless situation and stop the fentanyl crisis. I think those are really mainstream, common sense solutions to some really serious problems.
So she comes across well there. But I do know people, even personally, who are more kind of old school Republican or even old school kind of Democrat Republican type establishment who kind of the label of extreme still sticks with her. But she caught up Ruben Gallego in the airport. She caught up with him right outside the men's bathroom. And
I think there's a lot we can say, do. We've been doing some good work. I think there's some common ground I could find on. Look, we need to figure out how to get people here legally, so don't go through the illegal manner.
We got plenty of people here. Problem is we have plenty of people here.
So you see what she's doing here. I've already played that. Just want to give you a clip, and that's Ruben Gallego there. I think she must have a secret mic there. I didn't read the story there because the audio's good, or they could have cleaned it up in post. You can put it and clean it up. But what my point is she knows how to cut through the noise. Ron DeSantis does not. And you've got that too with her. So there's a lot to like there with Kari Lake. Ruben Gallego knows that. Here's how he's hitting at her. After the announcement, if you're just stopping by on the live, Kari Lake has officially announced Ruben Gallego, one of her competitors, said, welcome to the race. Started that off by saying he's already in it. That's a good structured beginning because it puts him in a position of dominance in a little bit. Like, I'm already here. I've been here. Welcome. You're a newcomer. Welcome to the race, Kari Lake. I look forward to substantive discussion. So what he's trying to say is that she's not substantive, indirectly. On Check's notes, your plan to ban abortion without exception. So he's trying to go right at abortion. Abortion is the perfect single issue vote type of thing for Democrats because he can throw that out there and nothing else matters to a lot of people. We saw that in the midterm. Abortion, I have this position on abortion, and it's not going anywhere. And Ruben Gallego could be terrible on everything from the border to everything else, but abortion will get a certain amount of people. You're undermining of our democracy and threats of violence. That's why voters rejected you the first time around and will do it again. This well-rounded, he is going to be a formidable person to go up against. I'm still learning him. He held his own in the airport. I mean, he got the losing end of it, but that's Kari Lake. I mean, that's not an easy thing. He didn't look like a complete idiot to me. And then that post is structured well, so I don't know if he had someone working with him or what. That is a well-constructed post. We're going to see a battle. We're going to see a political battle. I mean, I hate to say it, early on, even though I like Kirsten Sinema, I don't like her ideology, but I think there's things about her, almost like I said, I used to like Amy Klobuchar, even though she's not Amy Klobuchar, but I kind of like some aspects of Kirsten Sinema. She doesn't run a ship this tight as this, what I'm seeing from this Ruben Gallego. I'm impressed by his political acumen, showing much more than Ron DeSantis. I mean, anybody. Let me stop doing that. Anybody shows more than him, basically. But that's impressive stuff. So she's going to be going up against this. He's not going to be doing the socialist thing. That doesn't play in Arizona. He's going to be doing more, I'm purple. I'm red, but I agree with abortion. Right. And that's a tough one for MAGA because it is a very divisive topic, and you've either got to be, Blake Masters struggled with it. He flip-flopped a little bit on that topic. But ultimately, Blake Masters only lost because of the money. The money was put in to, I believe it was Mark Kelly, right, that he was going against. So that's there. And we know Kirsten Sinema. I'm not going to go too much into her. And we'll see how she goes. I don't know how well she's going to do. I really don't. Here's the first shots She's running and she's going after her competition. Let's hear how Kari Lake's going to do it right now. Same type of topics, but this is more recent. This is going to be right at Ruben Gallego here.
For the Truth is, of course, Kari Lake, and we are delighted to celebrate Friday with her here on America First. Kari, welcome back to the Salem News Network.
Good to see you, Seb. Thank God it's Friday, as they say.
Indeed, indeed, especially after you had a rather strange trip by air with a Democrat who was trying to troll you while you were in the air. We have a little clip of this tiny individual after the plane landed. Let's play the cut, please.
I look forward to working together if we can, and obviously we'd have more conversations about this. I think it's
Well,
great
we're
that
going to
we
have
actually
conversations.
I think it's
and-
great that we could have a civil conversation too.
Civil, absolutely. But you know what's not civil? People dying on the streets. And in your district, you have
Our
the
state.
in your district,
Our state.
no, it's your district. You have the fastest growing homeless population in.
So he's trying to, so he's saying in our state, you see that this is really great stuff. And this is why I love debates. This right here, this airport debate right here was orders of magnitude more substantial and interesting to watch than anything we've seen in the GOP primary debates, 2 of them thus far. Nothing as in an interaction here. This is the political, wrestling, like real wrestling, like high school wrestling, Olympic wrestling. That's what you're seeing is like somebody doing a move, trying to wiggle out of it. That's excellent stuff where Kari Lake's trying to remind people in his district. And then he's trying to remind people, wait a second, I'm running for Senate in our state. So he's like, you're not going to tie me into my district. I'm going to, because he's, what district is he? He's 3rd district, AZ3. Isn't that fascinating? Maybe it's just me. Like, I don't know if that's geeking out on the debate stuff. It's just, so Kari Lake does a good job, like your district, kind of like saying you're not in the state, you're little District 3, not disrespectfully, but not Senate. I'm not looking at you as a senator. And he's like in our state. So he's already pushing away from the district because he wants to look like I'm now a senator. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be good. This congressman going up, they're going to give him a lot of money. He's going to need a lot of money. With the Blake Masters, let me go back to that real quick. This is Blake Masters, because I had the math on the tweet. I mean, I think this tweet comes up pretty quick. Yep, it's the first tweet when I searched this term, and I'm going to bring it up. So this is going to be good to look at it from just 2022. This can't happen. I don't know what needs to happen, what needs to be different. Mark Kelly had to outspend Blake Masters $73.5 million to $9.4 million. And then there's other dark money in it as well. I'm like, that's little money, but that's there's more outside of that too. But Mark Kelly outspent Blake Masters by 7 times. Times 7. Kari Lake is better than Blake Masters. So Ruben Gallego is going to have to raise 20 times the money, I think, to even have a chance. Without assuming fair elections. I don't even know if it's, let's just assume a fair election and that was fair. So it's apples to apples. Barton Bella, great friend of the show, says yes, but DeSantis actually gets results. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Kari Lake has never won an office. I'm not going to hold that against her for like a potential standpoint, but what Barton Bella is saying is absolutely fair and accurate. DeSantis has won office twice. I don't know why he doesn't. Barton, can you help me out why he doesn't give Trump credit? That bothers me. That's not humility. That's not gratefulness. You can still go at Trump and say, yep, he helped me in 2018. Or was it 18 or 20? Yeah, in 2018. Why is that not a thing? DeSantis and Kari Lake were actually cool. I hate to see this. I really hate to see this, where we have to do Kari Lake versus DeSantis now. Why do we have to do Kari Lake versus DeSantis if Kari Lake would be a good candidate? Not at you, Barton. I'm just saying in general that's where we're at. I'm saying because I'm seeing it online already. It's like, okay, I see Trump because they're going straight up. What's the Kari Lake one about? So this is more than just Trump. This is more this beef between the camps. And then I saw Christina Pushaw and Kari Lake going at it. I'm like, what? It's just disappointing to see. I just hate to see people I respect wasting that energy going at each other, and it's not even really a healthy tension, because I don't even know it's productive. Yes, but DeSantis actually gets results. It's fair. Because Kari is married. Why should she hang out with trans? How did that come up? Oh, because of the drag queen stuff? I mean, you just hang. I mean, if you like to go in the shows and stuff, that was not a big culture when I was younger. It looks like it's a big culture now. It's not unusual now. That was very taboo, and I mean, I didn't even know what a drag queen was probably until college. I don't even know if I'm trying to think when I even knew what a drag queen was, to be honest with you. It was different. He thanked Barton. Don't do that. But why can't he thank Trump now? Or even if he doesn't, let's say he doesn't want to thank Trump, can he not thank the Trump supporters, the people? Let's talk about the people. You see, those are the mistakes that DeSantis made. Those are the mistakes. Kari Lake is more in tune with the people, and but you saw the outspending is really what I wanted to focus on. I had to do some massive outspending there. If you want to get on the stage, if you want to get to the Senate, it's big spending. Especially Kari Lake has better ideas.
Has done so much damage to the district he represents, downtown Phoenix. The homeless they have the largest growth.
So she's great job. You see her. I'm going to hone in on him in Phoenix. Just mentioning Phoenix is like, oh, you know what that means. So that's a great strategy here by Kari Lake. Very smart.
Wow.
Yes, he's taken a page out of John Fetterman's playbook on how to dress and how to present yourself. And he has done so much damage to the district he represents, downtown Phoenix. The homeless they have the largest growing homeless encampment in the country, which probably makes it the largest in the world. Wow. Right there in the district that he's been representing. He's done nothing to make this area any better. The quality of life is hitting a rock bottom, and he has done so much damage there. He wants to now take his terrible policies statewide and run for U.S. Senate. So I happened to be on a flight back from D.C. with him yesterday. I didn't know it. I didn't notice when he got on the plane. He apparently noticed me. And I noticed about halfway through the flight that I was being trolled by him. And he was basically telling me to come back and find him in his seat. And he wanted to talk about all of his legislative, he thought was success. And I thought, you know what? I would like to talk to him, but I'm not going to go back on the plane. I'll just wait at the gate when I get off, and I'll have conversation with him. And that was a little clip of it. It started really with a discussion of why hasn't he done something to secure our border. He and Kyrsten Sinema, who are both running for Senate here in Arizona, she's also a liberal just like him, a radical liberal. They've done nothing except vote for open borders. They voted against funding the wall. He has voted to actually give all of the people here illegally voting rights. He wants everyone who's coming across that border right now to be able to vote in our elections.
Of course he does.
And for amnesty for all of them. And so I wanted to talk to him about that because people are dying, Seb. You know this. They're dying on our streets. We've got fentanyl killing a young generation, and he has no solutions for it. He wants to get into the U.S. Senate and make it worse.
Well,
so it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So that's her. Do you see the mode of attack? Great strategy. She runs a good, tight ship. Her advisors and everything, I don't know who they are, but they must be good. She is on point where she is. I bet you in that one interview when the advisor said he was from the UK, she thought he was from Australia. I bet you she went back to her team and was like, don't get that wrong again. Even though she still eviscerated him. So that's good to hear. And Barton Bella said, and no offense, but while Trump was licking his wounds, DeSantis carried the Republican Party on his back. after the disaster of January 6th, DeSantis gave us someone to be proud of. Yeah, I'm a little. I would like to have seen Ron DeSantis be more aggressive and open about because Florida has the most J6ers, the state with the most J6ers. I've not seen enough to care about the common people there, but not against DeSantis. So it's too bad. Tim Fool, yep. But I'm out. I'm gonna be out here. Another late night show. I just wanted to celebrate Kari Lake. Talk about her. We talked about her a lot. And the last piece that I really like about Kari Lake is that she's God fearing, and she sends that message. I've ended with her on that message. She sticks by that message. I believe in that message, and I believe she believes in that message.
You look spry and you look good to see you. You look spry and you look.
So let me go to this. I've done that with that video, that same video. I think it's a glitch on Twitter with that same video. I've done that multiple times. But here's another clip here from Kari Lake.
It's a big decision. It's a lot of sacrifice, and I have turned down media jobs and a lot of money because this is not the season for making a fortune. This is not the season for pushing a new career. This is the season for saving our country. I believe that's where we are. And so I'm in it this next year.
Yeah, but I appreciate that. Barton Bella says, and Barton Bella always keeps it real. Barton Bella says she'll be a good senator. Yeah, that's good to hear. Just like Ron DeSantis is a good governor, been a great governor. I'm not going to be up here lying about that stuff. I don't like that. We know what's up. Ron DeSantis has been great, and I appreciate Barton Bella's like she'll be a good senator. We keep it real.
I'm going to work my tail off. We get up at 6 in the morning. I hit the ground. My feet hit the ground. I say, God, use me today, however you see fit. And then I tell the devil, watch out, I'm awake. Watch out, I'm awake. And we do have a lot of evil around us right now. It's truly what's behind all of this. The dragging out of these court cases, that's evil. That's the devil working. And they want us to give up, to give in, to get tired. And I've already told you, I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to get tired. And when I get tired, I'm going to have another cup of coffee and keep going. So they've done something that I don't think they realized, that they awoke a sleeping giant that's never going back to bed. And that is the mama bears.
That's why I call her MAGA Mama Bear.
And the Papa Bears. They have gone and they've gotten between Mama Bears and the baby cub. Ooh. And that is a very, very dangerous place to be. Mm-hmm. And we're pissed off Mama Bears. We're stressed out Mama Bears. And so that's an even more dangerous place to be because of that. And we're just not going to take it. We're not going to let them go after our kids. And in order to protect our kids, we know we have to protect our elections. So as I wrap up on this beautiful, idyllic scene, I just can't even believe I'm here. I've heard about Mackinac Island my whole life. I've always wanted to come here. And that I'm somehow standing in the middle of the political world. And I know many of you feel the same way. How did we end up in the middle of the political world at the most consequential time in our...
She is one of the best orators, too. She's not at that Tucker level. Trump has that presence, but when you take those two out of it, because everybody wants to hear what Trump has to say, because you don't know what he's going to say, when he's going to say it on that podium. I'm trying to think who else is up there, man. But you take those two out, she's right up there.
In our country's history, because God put us here for this moment. And he put us here for the victory. He put us here for the victory. He told me the victory is coming, and I believe that. And I'm going to fight every day for God. I'm going to fight for my children, and I am going to be so happy when that victory comes and we get to celebrate it together. Thank you, Michigan. I want you to know that we've got to start bringing God back into our lives. Just for that. That's right, Mama. Mama Bear. We've got to bring God back into our culture. We've got to bring him back in. We cannot get through this without God. We can't do it. And we're going to bring God back in. And that same God that parted the Red Sea, that same God that parted the Red Sea is with us right now. And God is looking down on us saying, I picked every single one of you to be here at this moment in history. Every single one, from that beautiful, sweet girl waving. He picked her. He picked this lovely lady with the Blake Masters shirt on. He picked you and you to be here at this very moment. Because we are put here to save this country and to save this state. And it's going to start right here in Arizona. So let's go out and vote on Tuesday. Who's ready? Take a friend, take the kids, and let's save Arizona. Thank you, Awatuki. I love you.
That is Kari Lake. You can see why I like her. Thanks a lot. Stopping by. It's been fun. I'm out, y'all. Peace.
Somebody told him, his handlers told him he had to say, but he never once uttered a word about the invasion on our southern border. You know what he did? He came to Arizona and he demonized Trump supporters. He called us MAGA extremists. And he called us a threat to democracy. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to let a guy who's trying to imprison his political opponent call me or you a threat to democracy. No. You, Joe, are a threat to America. And Crooked Joe, you are a threat to the world. Now, I do want to be clear, because I know people are waking up every day. I may disagree with Arizonans who voted for Joe Biden. I do. But I don't think you're a threat to democracy. You are a citizen just like me, and I know you're struggling as well. We're all struggling. There's not a gas pump out there for Republicans and one for Democrats, right? We're all having to pay the same high gas prices. And you know what? There's not an inflation rate for Republicans and then a separate one for Democrats. All Arizonans are feeling the stress of Biden's reckless spending and his absolute decimation of our energy sector. Can you believe this? On day one, he came in and he reversed President Trump's policy that made us energy independent. I mean, what kind of a fool does that? And that is what is leading to the out-of-control inflation. Bidenflation is what they call it. It's so bad they gave it a name. It's called Bidenflation. We haven't had inflation this high in our lifetimes. And nobody has been hit harder by it than Phoenix, Arizona. We're having it the worst here. And I don't have to tell you that because you're feeling it. Our costs have gone up close to 20%. Meanwhile, our wages have gone down at least 3%. $1 back during President Trump is worth 85 cents today. I'm not a world-renowned economist here, okay? But I'm telling you that formula is not a formula for success. Arizonas are having to max out their credit cards, not for fancy vacations and shopping sprees. They're maxing out their credit cards just to pay their bills, to pay their gas, to pay their groceries. It's really dire.
And we know our mortgage rates are through the roof. People can't afford to buy a home. I think when President Trump was in office, we had record low mortgage rates. Now they're at 8% and they're climbing. And 75% of Americans say that things are going in the wrong direction. Things aren't just going in the wrong direction. We're going right off the edge of a cliff right now. But it doesn't have to be that way. I used to report on all this stuff when I worked as a fair and honest journalist for 30 years. Some of you might remember. How many of you remember those days? And I would report on all of, the economy in shambles. I would report on, gas prices, crime, the border, immigration. And then an amazing thing happened. In 2016, we got a reprieve. We got relief. We had a great economy. Gas prices went down. It was so wonderful. And that was President Trump. We got to thank President Trump for that. I am so glad I'm not behind the news desk anymore. I'm so glad I walked away. Many of you remember 2.5 years ago, seems like 2.5 lifetimes ago, when I walked away from the news, when I realized that, oh my goodness, it's not even journalism anymore. It's just pure, flat out propaganda. And I had to do some serious soul searching. And I said, do I love this huge paycheck more than I love the truth? Do I love this huge paycheck more than I love God? Do I love this huge paycheck more than I love my country? And so I walked, thank you. So I'll never forget it. It was 2.5 years ago. A couple things happened. One of them was I learned how to download or upload a video to the internet. Didn't know how to do that before, but I figured out how to do it. And we uploaded a video where I said goodbye and told the people of Arizona why I was leaving. I didn't want to just walk away and have them wonder what happened. I wanted to let them know that the news is full of crap. And it's gone full-blown propaganda, and I wasn't interested in lending my heart and my voice and my reputation to that, so I walked away. An amazing thing happened. The people of Arizona said, would you please get into politics? We need some honest politicians. I let you talk me into getting into the swamp. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. But you know what? We did. And I represent We the People, and we led the most amazing movement. It was positive, it was common sense, it was about returning and restoring the government and giving it back to We the People. And then and draining the swamp, amen, who said that? And then, yeah, everyone said that. And then Election Day rolled around. After we did everything right, and we saw the disaster of Election Day in Arizona. Sometimes when things don't go the way we expect, we find ourselves questioning and asking why. And I really, truly do. Believe me, I've been talking to God about this. I said, why, God? I think God has bigger plans for us. I know that doesn't necessarily make you feel good, but I will tell you what's happening right now in the world is bringing people closer to God. And honestly, I'm a woman of faith. That is the most important thing. If we are bringing people closer to God, if people are waking up, I believe that is one of the most important things we can do. It's also waking people up to what's happening in our government. And I want you to know that I am never going to walk away from the fight to restore honest elections. Never. I don't care what the fake news says about it. I don't care what the corrupt people say about it. Fighting for honest elections is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue. It's an American issue. It's an American issue. And we are going to continue along fighting for honest elections. I'm never going to stop until every voter feels confident that their one legal vote counts. And I don't care who you vote for. If you vote Democrat, if you vote Republican, that's between you, God, and the ballot box, okay? You vote how you want, but I want your vote to count. I even want those fake news fools back there, I want your vote to count as well. So a lot of people have been saying, well, what's next for you, Kari? What is next? Well, let me tell you, this mama bear has a whole lot of fight left in her. I got a lot of fight left in me. And I'm really tired of watching our politicians retreat from every single important battle. They're cowards. That's how we got into the mess we're in right now, because they have surrendered far too many hills. We are on the final hill right now. And I'm not surrendering this hill. No. I am not going to retreat. I'm going to stand on top of this hill with every single one of you. And I know you're by my side as I formally announce my candidacy for the United States Senate.